Hello, Kids Up Front Board of Directors. Thank you for inviting me to come here and talk to you today about Kids Up Front Edmonton. I've prepared a few slides that we can go over now. So first of all, I wanted to look at the mission, vision, values, strategy, and goals of the Kids Up Front organization. Of course, you're familiar with these. And we'll start with values. That's the most important, the foundation layer. Fun, collaboration, integrity, inclusion, and agility. So we're going to make sure that everything we talk about today satisfies those values. Then the vision, what KUFE wants to be. The vision is a world in which kids have access to enriching experiences. The mission, to distribute tickets to arts, culture, and sporting events to deserving kids and their families. Then the strategies to accomplish that we're going to go into, and they have three main goals. Reach more deserving children with a wide variety of diverse experiences, be easy to do business with, and get better brand awareness to be a worthy charity of choice in the community. Note that the executive director that you hired, Javier Salazar, has only been in the role for a few months now. There's 2 full-time employees and 1 part-time employee at KUFE. So the first thing I'd like to look at is the financials. And here we have the financial statement that goes to the end of September of this year, 2018. And you'll notice I put the red box around the loss of $49,000. This is a significant loss and something that is quite worrying. And I wanted to then look what's the projected loss for the rest of the year. And it's in the order of $66,000. I don't have access to your balance sheet, so I'm not sure if there's any, what kind of reserves there are. But I'm pretty sure this is a significant loss, and so therefore we need to really look into this. So then what I did was looked at the change from 2017 to 2018 and the percentage changes that we noticed there, and I've made some notes. And what here on the right hand side of the slide are the key findings. Ticket donation value is down nearly 22%. So we're just not getting as much value of tickets, and that's a significant drop. However, donations and fundraising is up 64%, so that's encouraging. Denim and Dice, which is the premier fundraising event for KUFE, did make a profit last year of $143,000, which is significant, but the 2018 event, which has just happened, did make a profit of $30,000, but that was a huge drop from $143,000. That is essentially explaining all of the loss problem that we have. Grant revenues unrestricted are down 68%. So that's a $47,000 swing, and that's important too. And then if we look at expenses, the bottom half of the chart there, you'll notice that they're up 18% overall. So KUFE is spending too much, and on the other hand, they don't seem to be investing enough in technology. So using a SWOT analysis, the main finding is that there's a huge weakness, that revenues are down and expenses are up. And this is something that has to be addressed immediately, a strong focus for action. Edmonton is the 5th largest municipality in Canada, so KUFE needs to do well there, and Kids Up Front should have representation if possible in Edmonton. Now we're going to look at an opportunity on the next slide to get more social impact. And this social license to operate, my analysis shows that KUFE is now at the acceptance stage, which is the second from the bottom. And to get the impact you want in the community of Edmonton, to become a worthy charity that the people of Edmonton will support, It has to move up to the approval stage. So looking at the not-for-profit value chain, what we see there are the key functions of program design in a context. Fundraising is crucial. Fund management we're not going to deal with here because funds, again, we don't have the balance sheet with us right now. Fund management is going to be important. I'm just not dealing with that right now. And program delivery is obviously a key block in this value chain to have the impact on the kids and their families that we're hoping to have. So the 3 notes at the bottom. Program design. We have to find out if CUFI programs are working for their context. Fundraising. Is it a seat of the pants kind of approach? Let's just see what happens. Or is there a strategy for how to get funds for future operations? And how is CUFI managing donor acquisition and retention? This is a question that has to be asked. And then program delivery needs to have controls and monitoring and evaluation of programs so that it can be accountable to stakeholders. Then each program needs to be evaluated, whether it should be redesigned, extended, expanded, or terminated. So here's a stakeholder map showing the 4 kinds of stakeholders that exist. As you can see, the key players, they're high interest and high influence. There's 3. Child serving organizations. They're the recipients of the tickets that are donated to CUFI. The donors themselves, who either donate cash, come to a fundraising event like the Denim and Dice event, or are the ticket users, who actually are the families and the kids that we're focused on the most. So the key takeaway, we have to focus on these 3 groups: child serving, the donors, and the ticket users. So I've come up with 4 recommendations, and I've sorted them into time period. Things we have to do immediately, in the short term, medium term, and then in the long term. So immediately, my first recommendation is that all 4 employees at CUFI take a 20% pay cut. I know, it's significant. It's a lot to ask, and I don't see any other choice. We have to stop the bleeding of the losses, or CUFI is going to be unable to continue to operate. Javier Salazar, he needs to refocus his time. He doesn't seem to fully grasp that the Denim and Dice event, while being a success and that there was a profit, is not a success in the sense that it made much less profit for CUFI than it did last year. So he needs to really refocus and focus deeply his time on the 3 key stakeholders, which are the parents and the kids, the donors, and the child service organizations. So let's do that right away. And then in the short term, a few weeks from now, what I recommend is that all fundraisers except Denim and Dice be canceled. Javier simply has to have some help in focusing his time and energy, and one way to do that is to cancel everything that's not crucial. Child serving organizations, my recommendation is that they will do the deciding on who gets the tickets. I want to take that out of CUFI hands. Our job, or the CUFI job, will be to get the donors of tickets and funds, and we'll get those tickets and we'll get them into the hands of the child serving organizations and let them decide who is deserving. From our point of view, kids, these child serving organizations, they know who they're dealing with, and they can make that decision, and we can monitor later how well they made those decisions. But let's not focus on that in the short term. In the medium term, let's focus on only a few of the child serving organizations. So let's whittle it down. It's more than whittling, really. Let's cut it down dramatically from the hundreds of organizations we're dealing with now. And I'm saying 5 or 6. Now, it might be 4, it might be 10, but let's look at the numbers and let's deal with only those organizations that are the most important in terms of taking our tickets. And we have a recommendation coming up later in how to deal with some of the others. Also in the medium term, we need to develop an electronic platform for ticket acquisition and distribution. Let's automate this process so that donors can send their tickets to us electronically, and we will reallocate them electronically to the child service organizations, and it's done very fast, very efficiently, so that we can do this with less staff than we have now. And in the long term, we have to teach our staff fundraising best practices. We can't just do this, well, let's see what works. Let's find out best practices. Let's teach them, make sure they're learning, and get a high-skilled organization. So key performance indicators, how are we going to measure how we're doing? There are the categories on the left, the areas. So financial, we're looking for positive profit, monthly statements. We're looking for donations, fundraising, and grants up 20%. That's a year-to-year measure. Keeping expenses to 2017 level, that's a yearly measure. In terms of the customer, the number of tickets and value of tickets distributed. So number of tickets we can measure weekly. I think that's the key, really, how many kids and families are getting out there to events. And value of tickets, I know that's important, and some people think that that's a key measure. So we are going to measure that. We're going to measure that once a year, just to look year to year, how's the value doing. In terms of process, we're going to have a website for gathering and distributing these tickets. We're going to measure that daily to see how that's functioning. We're going to have a dashboard. And logistics, number of tickets acquired and not distributed. So that's like a failure. We got tickets donated, but we ran out of time to get them out to the child serving organizations. That's a dashboard measure that's going to be daily. And learning, staff attendance at seminars every 3-4 months will be good for that. Now the risks. What might go wrong with the plan? Well, I've identified 4 risks, and in terms of their likelihood and impact. So a high likelihood but low impact is the green dot, the light green dot. That's the pushback from child serving organizations who want our tickets, and we've told them we can't deal with you. It's just too hard for us to deal with all these organizations, so we're going to deal with a few high impact CSOs. So my recommendation when the pushback happens, and it's going to happen, it's very, very high likelihood, that we create blocks of these smaller users so that they can work with each other, and we'll just issue tickets to a block of CSOs that has smaller demand. The next highest likelihood is the orange dot, that will run out of money to operate. If that happens, we're going to be talking to you, the board of directors of Kids Up Front. We're going to ask for money to keep going until this plan shows fruition of the benefits. Next is the teal dot, high impact, medium likelihood, that we run into difficulties in automating the online platform. Now, this is, these things happen, and my mitigation is to recruit unpaid volunteers to process tickets manually. We can't afford to pay for staff to do this, so I think volunteers can step in the short term until we get the system operational. And then the red dot, what if staff quit due to the 20% pay reduction? We're going to have to operate with fewer staff. We're just going to have to, sorry that they're choosing to go, and we'll carry on. So I'm now open for any questions that you may have about this plan. Thank you very much.